Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacqueline. If you're new here, I'm Luxem Babe and I teach on money and business. I'm a money channel and psychic CFO. And today's video, the topic is going to be around why boundaries make you rich. And the reason this is such an important topic to talk about is because all of us know, we know deep down that being rich, being wealthy, goes so much deeper than just the amount of money in our bank account, right? It's so much deeper than just how much money we make, our income, what our business brings in. We know that there's more and more layers to this. And we've also, most of us have had the experience as well of witnessing where money truly doesn't make people happy, right? Someone could have all the money in the world, but they have a completely miserable life. All we have to do is look towards, child celebrities for an example of that. So we know that there's more to the equation than just the amount of money that we have when it comes to being rich, being wealthy. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some tips and just talking a little bit about how to establish really solid boundaries in your life and in your business so that you are making more money. But while you're making more money, at the same time, you're experiencing more time and energy, right? There's also this distorted paradigm that in order to make more money, we need to be sacrificing more of our time. We need to be sacrificing more of our energy. A lot of us can picture the amount of money, our desired financial reality, whether that's making $100,000 a year, whatever that nebulous monetary goal is for you. A lot of us can picture that, but what we don't want to picture and why we energetically or subconsciously hold that financial reality away from our current reality is because we feel like deep down there's going to be this extreme level of sacrifice of our time and energy. Basically, long story short, we picture ourselves being drained when we picture the amount of money that we want to have. We picture ourselves being tired when we have the amount of money that we want to have. An example of this is, if you're currently making $50,000 a year in your business, or you're making $50,000 a year in your job, and you want to make $100,000 a year, our logical brains, or how we've been conditioned in society, tells us that, well, if we want to make double, we're going to have to work double. We're going to have to put in double the amount of energy, right? And the way money works today, the way the financial system is set up today, and especially the way a lot of online businesses are set up today, is those ideas just don't stand. Those ideas are not true, and we have more and more evidence every day of them not being true, right? Whereas we can look back 100 years ago and say, like, yeah, the rise of the Industrial Revolution, sure, people had to work much, much harder. Today, we're blessed to have the internet. We're blessed to have technology that does a lot of work for us. And when you learn to leverage that and leverage that with your time and energy in your business, it's actually simple to see a path in which you are not just simply doubling the amount of hours you work. It's not necessarily the amount of hours you're putting into something is what you're getting out of it. And really the inspiration for this work is a really dear client of mine who, over our year together, we've worked together one-on-one for a year now. And in that time, she has doubled, almost tripled her hourly rates. She's created new offers and new packages in her business. And she has doubled the amount of recurring revenue that she has coming through her business. And her business income has risen over this time too. And at the same time, she finds herself working less and less and having a much more manageable workload. And this is someone who, has had a six-figure business for many years now, several years. But in, a couple years ago, she had a six-figure business, but she was working herself to the bone. She was just like working way too much. And, that is not sustainable because it leads to burnout, right? It's okay in the short term. We can see how it works in the short term, because especially if we're desiring the money now and we're okay making that sacrifice in the short term. But when we don't address it and the long-term scalability or sustainability of our business, it's going to lead to burnout, right? So in our work together, the number one thing I've noticed is that the shifts have always come after she's drawn boundaries. She draws new boundaries with clients. Magically, she's attracting clients that respect her boundaries, clients that respect her time, clients that respect her prices. She's also someone that's gone from having clients that were more had more penny pinching behaviors or would really kind of be nitpicky on her pricing or kind of try to negotiate her pricing with her. Now she's bringing in clients that see the value of what she's offering, right? The value essentially of what she's offering is the same. Her skills, of course, have increased a year's worth of skills, but, she was still really, really good at what she did before. But now, because she values herself, because she has those internal boundaries with herself, and the internal boundaries are reflecting into external boundaries of how other people are treating her. Now she's getting paid more and more people are being able to see her value. So the first thing that I want to bring in here as a tip for your business in order for you to make more money in your business and really embody this boundaries make you rich philosophy is that you're never going to be a price competitor in your business. An example of this is you find that you think that being the cheapest option means that you're going to have the most clients, right? So if you're doing some market research and you are a bookkeeper, for example, and you're looking out into other bookkeepers, seeing they charge $50, $60, $75 an hour, you decide to charge $20 an hour because in your head you think that's going to get you more clients. I want you to eliminate that strategy completely from, pretend like you don't even know it. Pretend like you completely just forgot everything about that. Eliminate that idea from your body. Because what actually happens with most businesses that try to price compete is it's a race to the bottom. There's always going to be someone that charges less than you. There's always going to be someone that will charge less for what you do. They don't necessarily do as good of a job as you're going to do, right? But there's always someone that's going to charge less. And when you market yourself as a price competitor, you market yourself as the cheapest option, the type of people that you're attracting into your business are going to be the people that are searching for the cheapest option, which if you've been in business for any length of time, then you probably know that those are the biggest headache clients. People that want the cheapest option and don't care about the quality of the work that they're receiving are typically going to be the biggest headaches. They typically have the biggest problems to solve. They don't see the value of the work that you're doing, which is why they're typically not willing to pay more than really cheap rates for it. And it's, what you're doing at that point is you're overloading your system with clients that don't value your work and really just want to work with you because you are the cheapest. So never price compete. It's going to be a race to the bottom. And what that comes with is, one, you need to be good at what you do, right? In order to charge premium prices, in order to be the best service provider in your niche or to be someone that charges luxury prices for the service that you offer, you need to be good at what you do. You need to have, and a lot of times that's not necessarily because we're not already good at what we do and we need to gain more skills. Plenty of people out here in this online space have plenty of skills. They just don't have the confidence in the skills that they have. And so therefore they're not positioning themselves as experts. They're not positioning themselves as the best in their niche because it's an inner confidence thing. It's not actually a skill thing. And one of my favorite quotes to come back to, it's not an exact quote, but it's from Bara Serna. On Instagram, she's Bara the Queen Bee. And she says there's people that are stupider and uglier than you making more money than you. And what are you going to do about it, essentially, right? So you have to understand that the people that are typically, that you see, maybe this is in your niche, maybe this is just, influencers or people or celebrities even that you see on social media that have the financial or the material reality that you desire. You have to understand that they didn't get there by being necessarily skillful. They got there because of their confidence and their ability to market themselves. So, you, a wonderful, integrous business person that has the education and the skills to back up the services that you're offering, why shouldn't you have the confidence to market yourself? Right? So again, this is an internal boundary with yourself that you're not going to fall into, self-depreciating behavior. You're not going to fall into getting down on yourself, being hard on yourself. That is something that is difficult to do as an online business owner or as an entrepreneur. You're always going to have struggles. There's always going to be things with you're not always going to know what's going on, right? Your business is going to throw you for a loop once in a while. So it's not about you have to always be feeling the best about yourself, but in general, you need to have this deep rooted confidence in what you do and what you offer. And so if you don't have that confidence yet, it's probably because you don't have a lot of experience providing fantastic services to people yet. So what can you do to get in front of more people? What can you do to maybe help out a friend? What can you do in certain situations where you can start to build up that confidence so that you have the confidence in your skill set to be able to market yourself as a luxury service provider, or as a luxury business in your niche? And I'm not talking about luxury like you're posting all these handbags and, going to the Chanel store and you have this, black and white moody branding. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually you are viewed you have positioned yourself as the best in your niche. You have positioned yourself as the premier service provider. You are highly sought after. And what this comes back to again is having an in-demand service, right? So if your service isn't highly in demand, then it will be a little bit more, it's not impossible, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do that. So another thing to pay attention to when it comes to boundaries in your business is scope creep. Anyone that's been a service provider, you have a done-for-you business, I'm sure you've experienced this, even if you haven't been able to put a name to it. But what this looks like is a direct violation or an overstepping of time boundaries. And scope creep can be really easy for service providers or business owners to fall into because our main focus is client retention, right? We need to have clients paying us month after month to keep our business going, obviously. But what happens when you are willing to compromise your time boundaries in order to serve your clients? And thus what you're doing is you're not taking care of yourself in the process. So an example of this could be you have a new client that joins and everything's going well for a couple of months. And then all of a sudden you notice that this person starts expecting you to respond to emails on Sundays or Saturdays or days where you've told them that you're not going to be available, right? They start expecting just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more. And then before you know it, within a couple months, you are doing something completely different than what you were hired to be doing. I mean, corporations do this all the time. So I'm sure all of us have experienced this to some degree. So when the scope creep starts to happen, it can be difficult to draw that boundary because you don't want to lose the client, right? You want to retain that client typically. And what this comes down to, again, is valuing your time. And what I would recommend implementing into your business is pre-designated service hours. So how fast are you getting back to your clients? What is the expectation around your availability? Make that very transparent and very known. See, a lot of people shy away from drawing these boundaries during the contract or the, during the initial conversations with your prospective clients. A lot of people shy away from drawing those boundaries because they don't want to scare people away. They don't want to, make it seem like they're too rigid in the services that they're providing. They don't want to make it seem like they're unavailable. They want to ultimately, again, have that client in their business, right? But again, in my experience, what I've found is that people love that. People love to know exactly what they're paying for. People love to know exactly what they're signing up for. And actually, especially if that client also doesn't have strong boundaries with their time and energy when it comes to their business, having one person in that transaction, right? Having one person in that exchange with super, super strong boundaries actually makes it much easier for the client. And a caveat I'll say to this too is because I do have clients where the exchange, the financial exchange and the energetic exchange that we have set up, I have, if they called me Saturday morning at 6 in the morning, I would probably answer their phone, right? Because that's the exchange we have set up. So I would start to also think about, what does a truly unlimited package look like? What does a truly, you are fully dedicated to that client, or you are fully available to that client? What does that look like for you? Or are you even interested in doing something like that? But that's kind of another concept to just ponder on is, being able to price that correctly as well, and making sure that you're pricing anything that you're positioning as unlimited support, or anything where there's not definite times or ranges or dates for it, that you are really getting ahead of that communication. And that you're pricing those packages accordingly. You're not lowballing yourself. And what this comes down to, again, is knowing the value of your time. You need to know what an hour of your time is worth. Even if you're someone where you don't offer single sessions in your business, you don't really charge by the hour, that type of thing, you still need to know at the end of the day what the market value for an hour of your time is worth, right? It's easy when we work for a corporation because the corporation tells us what an hour of our time is worth, right? This job pays $25 an hour. So you know that in that job at that corporation, your time is worth $25 an hour. However, when you work for yourself and you're setting your own rates, it's going to be a much more complex equation to come up with. It's not just going to be as cut and dry. You need to factor in software costs. You need to factor in all of the expenses for your business. You need to factor in taxes. There's so many things, your level of experience, your level of dedication, your level of hands-on involvement in the project. All of these things need to be factored into your hourly rate. So when you don't know what your hourly rate is, essentially you kind of don't have that boundary set up around your time. You don't know when you're wasting time. You don't know when someone is underpaying you. You don't know when you're over or undercharging. You have no concept of that because you're not coming back to that market value of what an hour of your time is worth, right? So this is also just getting really clear about your value, the value that your services provide, the value that your business provides. So the point of this being that when you are really solid in your value, you're solid on the time and energy boundaries that you have established in your business, and recognizing also that what's happening in our business is also a reflection of what's happening in our life, right? Our business a lot of times is just going to be a mirror for things that are happening in our personal life. So if you're feeling undervalued, you feel like you're undercharging, you're feeling drained in your business, chances are going to be that you're feeling that exact same way in certain personal relationships in your life, or certain dynamics with people, your personal finances, for example. It's just going to be a mirror. But the good news with this is that when you have a mirror like that, it becomes so much easier to, in my opinion, to correct things, because you almost have this, you have two things to look at, two completely different areas of your life to look at, to reflect back and go, whoa, this is a mirror. And usually when you're clearing up one side of the street, the other side of the street just kind of naturally cleans itself up, right? It's very magical how that all ends up working out. And so that's why it's important not to avoid tough conversations that you need to have in your business. If you've already identified there's certain clients where they're not respecting your time, they're paying you late, there's scope creep going on, you feel like you want to raise your prices, the worst thing that you can do is know that information and continue on the same path without making any changes. It's easier to do that because it's easier to avoid that conversation. It's easier to just pretend like it doesn't exist, right? And just keep moving on. But you'll start feeling that gnaw at you. You'll start feeling that misalignment. And those signs are going to start to get louder and louder. So don't avoid those tough conversations. Don't shy away from the changes that you know you need to make in your life and in your business. And this is the whole premise of why I created my new program, Boundaries Make You Rich, which we are kicking off on October 25th. And this is basically going to be 4 weeks of group coaching with me, where I'm going to be coaching you through having those difficult conversations so that you can essentially up level every area of your life and of your business. You can start to raise your prices, work less, stop undercharging for your work, and start holding yourself with the confidence that you know you need to bring in more money into your life, experience more riches, right? And do it in the right way where you're not sacrificing yourself in the process. So the link for that is on my website or on my link tree. I am inviting you to come into this experience if you are a business owner where you know you need to step up your confidence. You know you want to be bolder. You know you want to shine brighter. You know you need to have these conversations, but there's fear holding you back. There's something holding you back, and it's either a fear of letting go of the current people in your life that aren't going to respect your boundaries. That's a big one, right? We don't want to piss off the people that are currently in our life. We want to keep stepping on eggshells. We want to keep people pleasing. And so there's the fear there, but there's a way to do it really tactfully, and there's a way to establish boundaries energetically first, where you're doing all of the inner work first before you're ever needing to externally communicate it to anybody else, right? The external communication to other people, your clients, the people in your life, that's one of the last steps in drawing boundaries in your life and using boundaries to make you rich. First, the change needs to happen from within, and that's what I'm guiding you all through in my program, Boundaries Make You Rich. The investment for this is super accessible, and I'm super excited just to bring in the right people into this space. So again, we can experience the money and the financial reality that you know you're here to experience. Like, stop wasting your time. Stop sitting on your potential. Stop pussyfooting around with the life you know you're here to live because you're trying to just keep people comfortable, right? And I think that this is a habit that we have as women too, where we just want to keep people comfortable. We just want to make sure everything's good and everyone's feeling good. And sometimes at some point in your life, it's time to be selfish and it's time to get what you want. It's time to take care of yourself. So I invite you into that experience. Again, the link is on my link tree, and I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great day.